Hi, welcome to Glimpse TV. This is Kate Northrup, and I'm so happy to be in Vancouver with my friend Chela Davison. Chela is an incredible writer. She is a coach. She is just an awesome woman, an awesome friend. And we first met over the phone because I was one of Chela's clients. And one of the things that I was completely shocked by when I found out is how young you are. Because I will never forget when I just thought like the whole time we were coaching that you were probably in your 50s or something.
She hadn't seen me.
Yeah, no, clearly. Hadn't seen her. Yeah, I don't know why I hadn't seen your picture. But for some reason I hadn't seen your picture. And I just then when you said how old you... Well, then I saw your picture one day and I was like, what? Because she's so wise is basically what I'm trying to get at. so I want to ask you, so and integral coaching is what you do. And can you just, for people who may not be familiar with that structure, can you say what that is?
Yeah.
I mean, in a few words.
In a few words?
Yeah.
So it's a specific methodology based on integral theory, which was first developed by Ken Wilber.
Yeah.
So what that means like for a client is we work with ways of being. I actually think that you were the one who were like, you know, I would call this way of being coaching. So I was like, okay, we can do that. Let's call it that. Way of being coaching. So,
oh yeah, because you were like, do people, because I was like, I don't know what, I still don't know really what integral coaching is, even though I did it.
Right.
Which is, but way of being is really, I love that part.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, you know, what we look to do is include the whole human and look for ways to alter how we're being in the world such that we get the results that we want, have the experience that we want. You know, we have certain beliefs, we have certain behaviors, we have ways of being. Yeah. And sometimes they really rock and sometimes they're limited.
Yeah.
Which anytime somebody wants to take on a coaching program, it's because there's a limitation in what's showing up.
Yeah, and I love the way of being as opposed to like, I mean, I don't know if this exists, but I'm sure it does somewhere, like a productivity coach or like a love coach or a health coach, because that's really all about what you do. Right. And ultimately I found with you, like it wasn't really about what I was doing or not doing, it was how I was being, which, you know, if we're on the spiritual path, that's a thing. We are human beings, not human doings. And when you switch your way, then your behavior changes.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So for you, like, how do you think you got so insightful? Do you think it was your coaching training, or do you think it was just who you are? Is it your way of being?
That's a bit of a weird question.
I know,
it's fun.
Curious.
It's
I'm totally curious. That's how it is on Glimpse TV.
Okay.
I ask you questions that you don't know I'm going to ask.
Okay, yeah. Well, assuming, so let's go with that I am.
Yeah.
Insightful.
You are. Okay, I'm saying you are.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So my coach training, which is through Integral Coaching Canada, totally kicked my ass in terms of my way of being. So was I insightful before? Yeah, like there's always been this narrative in my upbringing that was like, oh, you know, people have always thought, oh, you're so much older, or oh, you seem like an old soul, you know, like I was hearing that when I was 5, right? So that's always been there. And then I've always had a really keen interest in the human experience. So, you know, we have these ways that we project ourselves outward or how we engage outwardly in the world. And then we have these inner worlds. Yeah. And sometimes they're transparent and the same, but often not. And I remember being really curious when I was younger about what's really going on. You know, because I know that what I had in my inner world wasn't always what was being talked about. Right? It wasn't what was explicit in a space. And so that's always been of really keen interest to me. And so early on, I became interested in, you know, what does it mean to be human? In
like early on, like in your 20s, or like early on when you were 5?
Early on, like... Yeah, as a kid.
Okay.
As a kid.
Like, what does it mean to be human?
Yeah. I don't know that those are my words.
Probably
it was a bit more like, what's really going on? Yeah. You know, and also, I can give a bit of credit, if that's even what we're saying, to my hippie parents.
Oh my gosh, wait, will you talk about what you said last night? So last night we went to go see a Pink concert, and we were in a crowd at the, what was it, the Rogers Arena?
Rogers Arena, yeah.
Yeah, will you say what you said your mom used to tell you in crowds?
Yeah. So, it was, so when entering a crowd, because people's energy is everywhere, and Mom was a hippie, which she's not seeming so much like a hippie these days. But she would say, "Oh, Chela, pull your aura in. Yeah, pull your aura in." But mostly it was around the house. So I'm big, right? Like I've got big energy and enthusiastic, and so I would often hear like, "Chela, your energy is all over the house. Pull your aura in."
Did you know what that meant?
Yeah, totally. So
and
we did.
Like,
well, okay. So So where did it all start? So we used to do these courses, classes when we were kids. So like group meditation class.
Oh.
And where we learned about our grounding cord.
Uh-huh.
So we had an image for what do we ground into.
Wow.
And feeling our, I'm pretty sure we called it aura, but just, maybe, because I knew what it was, right?
Okay.
But really just feeling into the space around, and how do we take up space, what's in our space, or our bubble. That would be another kind
energetic space.
Energetic space, yeah. My dad's a rolfer, a body worker, and so there was also a lot of talk around health and well-being and healing and all of that. So,
and so you have a kid.
I have a kid.
An awesome kid. I have met him once, and I've also heard amazing things about him from you and others. And we were just talking right before we started filming about this tendency we have to compartmentalize our lives. Mm-hmm. Like, so career is over here, and it doesn't leak into motherhood, and it doesn't leak into spirituality, sexuality, relationship, whatever. And so I'm curious if you're willing to share, what way of being are you working on right now, and how is that, like, how do you play with that in your mothering and in your career and in your, like,
cool
relationships?
Yeah.
What are you doing right now?
Ooh, big hot seat question. What is my current way of being?
Yeah.
So the edge that I'm, like, working and aware of is how I'm on top of things. So I'm, like, capable.
Yeah.
Successful.
Yeah.
I'm on top of things.
Yeah.
I've got this handled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my shit together.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. Do I get to say shit?
Yeah, totally. You can say whatever you want.
That's as far as I'll go. But what comes with that is kind of like this managing.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of waking. So one of the things that we do with why we work with ways of being, and we'll use image or metaphor for what's my current way of being and what's my new way of being, as you know.
Yes.
As you experience. And part of why we do that is because from this angle, in my subjective experience, there's all this stuff I can't see. Right? So my belief structures, my way of seeing is just how the world is. And then when we start to get to see it more objectively, like, oh, there I am. So this is kind of new for me to, I've definitely worked with and seen ways in which I've been, action addicted or worked really hard, or there was a time where I didn't feel as much capacity to be vulnerable around what's challenging, which I feel like I've got, like, lots of space for mess now.
Cool.
Maybe sometimes, like, too much. But what I'm just waking up to is my on it. I'm on it. And so the edge that I'm working, that I notice in my mothering, is like, there's a vigilance, like, not with him, right? But see, even there, right there was me. I'm managing it. Yeah. So, of wanting to, be on it as a mom. Yeah. Okay, I am on being present mom right now, right? I'm on holding a really safe container for my clients, and so the edge that I'm working is like relaxing into and trusting what's arising in the relational field. Okay. So say, like, applied right here. So here we are, and there's our camera. Here you are. And here you are. So the on it wants to, like, be on top of this conversation, right? Versus, like, here we are.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because I was like, wait, I'm not sure what you're talking about. That
I could see that in your face.
Like, what? I get it.
Yeah. So I can like relax into just being with you.
Right.
And being with you.
Right. And that is a different, I mean, that's not on it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're not fucking it up.
No, and this is the key, right? So when we look to alter our ways of being, so one of the terminologies that is used in our training is transcend and include.
Okay.
So we're looking to transcend our current way of being.
Okay.
We want to expand into greater capacity.
Yeah.
But we don't want to throw away how we work.
Exactly.
Right? So we include and we leverage what works.
Okay, great.
But having my being able to be on it, not be a mechanism that keeps me from being either present, or, okay, I'm on it, therefore, like, I'm valuable, or I'm worthy, right?
That really makes sense. And one of the things that I found so striking about working with you was that a lot of the practices were really physical. Like, it was actually about feeling your way of being. And you would ask me, my way of being was the inadequate hummingbird, moving towards the way of being of taking my seat, which is it is a visceral experience. I can feel those two different things. So when you meet people around the world, as you go globe-trotting, or just around Vancouver, wherever you are, do you have an immediate visceral feel of like their way of being? Like, do you know when you meet somebody, are you immediately like, oh, they could really use a little more of like this flavor? Or do you find that I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, I have a friend who's an astrologer, and like, as soon as people know he's an astrologer, like, suddenly, like, he's doing their charts. And he can't meet somebody without, like, figuring out what sign they are.
Right.
Like, do you have that in your life?
Yeah, if I understand your question correctly, like, do
you find yourself identifying people's ways of being the moment you meet them, I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say necessarily from a method. Here, I'm going to try a word here. A methodological.
Okay.
Yeah. Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. A methodological point of view. So it's not like I don't go around assessing people.
Right.
Nor
like
do
at a cocktail party, like, oh, that one and this one.
Yeah. Oh, your way of seeing is this.
Okay,
yeah. But what I do, what tends to be like, but I feel people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that tends to be there.
Yeah.
And there's also, I always have my own current way, right?
Yeah.
So I have, when I feel somebody, there's going to be, what I actually am picking up.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be all of my interpretive lenses.
Of course.
Right? So that gets to be like a really interesting edge of how do I stay open and curious, and also trust my discernment in what I see and what I feel, and then allow that to, alter and shift as time.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what do you just love to do the most?
Like, at all?
Mm-hmm.
Ever? Oh. I love, I like to hug trees. Like,
amazing.
Yeah, I know, we're in BC.
Great.
But like,
I really
like to hug trees. Both like literally, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
But as a like a communion with nature, so I like to be outside. I like to be in nature. I really like that. And I love being with people, and being like this is really delightful and juicy. Engaging. And engaging in a way that is like edgy and curious and like what's really going on.
So for people, like, sometimes I really struggle with talking with strangers, and like on the airplane here, a woman sat next to me and she started talking to me, and every time that happens I immediately get annoyed. Which people wouldn't expect about me because they think I'm like friendly and bubbly and whatever. Those things are all true, but like it's not my natural way to talk to strangers.
Okay.
But I find that I want to in life, and like I went to a wedding this summer, and I only knew the bride and groom, and I was extremely nervous about it, and I acted like a basket case for the first hour, and I'm so glad Mike was there. He was like, you're acting like a crazy person right now. It was totally inadequate hummingbird.
Okay.
Like, I just, So, I'm just asking this advice for myself, assuming that other people have trouble talking with strangers.
Yeah.
Like, what do you, since you love to engage on that level and you create intimacy fast with people, Do you have any suggestions for like being comfortable with that, or having, or how to even start a conversation with somebody you don't know?
Oh, cool. Yeah, sure. Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is that whole when you're public speaking, picture people naked, which I've never, I mean, that seems more distracting to me than valuable, right?
I know.
But I think the concept
Yeah.
is to, my sense of what that's about, is that you see the vulnerability as opposed to being intimidated.
Okay.
Right? So, this is one of the benefits of my work, because we do a lot of comparing, right? It's like, oh, who do I measure up against, you know, and then like social media doesn't really help because everybody looks great there. And so we do that, right? Or now I'm at a wedding and I don't know these people and
Totally.
One of the things that I feel so lucky about in the work that I do is that I get to work with a lot of like seemingly and really successful with it people with a lot of depth and a lot of wisdom, and we're all still human beings having a human being experience, and we're suffering and we're in pain and we're self-conscious. And you know, I appreciate you even saying what you just said is like, oh, people wouldn't guess that you don't like
have social anxiety.
Right?
Yeah.
And so in those situations, and it comes up for me, although mostly I'm pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's why I asked the question, because I was like, you seem like somebody where that is a natural way of being for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so the vulnerability piece and remembering that we're all...
Yeah, it's like whatever we might assume, especially if somebody feels aloof or intimidating or, wow, they really have it together. Like, we just have no idea what pain is there.
And that's why the curiosity can be so helpful to really, like, ask and be interested and be on that edge.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and not assume, like, it's unreal to me how much people assume that other people are perfect or really have it together. Like, it's just, it's like nobody does and nobody is, and that's just not what's real, and that's not what's going on.
Right.
So when we can hold that and go like, oh, you, you know, and like, oh, you're tenderhearted. Right? Like, oh, we are scared.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is, like, oh, this is, like, you know, like, I'm all, like, fixing my stuff before we get it, right? Like, oh, can you see my bra? You know, can you see my, like, right? Like, so there's, so we're, like, all afraid.
Yeah.
And we're all really tender. And when we can be out about, and then we guard up, and we move around in the world in this, like, because it's scary, and we're really sensitive beings, often kind of pretending that we're not.
Right.
So when we remember, oh, we're all really sensitive beings, then, and holding that, even when somebody isn't presenting that way,
to just know that just is with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 last questions, which I like to end with.
Okay.
What are you afraid of that you're doing anyway? Or what are you afraid of that you're being anyway, I guess, in this conversation?
What am I afraid? This.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so in certain ways, I'm really comfortable being seen.
Yeah.
Especially in writing. Like, I mean, I've written about my vagina.
Yes.
You know, so
we'll link to that below. And Chela's an amazing, amazing writer. Like, every time I read some of your stuff, I'm just like, oh, yeah. It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you can get on the list for that in your inbox at cheladavison.com, which will also be linked below. So, okay. So, but you're in your writing. You're very comfortable being seen.
Very comfortable. Yeah, very comfortable because I'm not really being seen.
So you're actually not.
I'm not. I'm not actually. My words are being seen.
Right.
So, yeah, and I think just even being seen in more ways. So, claiming that I have something to offer.
Yeah.
When all of that goes like, you know, which, like, good gosh, 10 years ago I was dealing with that, right? And then each layer of, you know, it's like, oh, wow, that's just still there in a different iteration.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like annoying and also just humbling.
And and so beautiful, right? Which gives me the capacity to talk to strangers. Because we're all doing it.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And lastly, when do you feel the most free?
When I'm skiing.
Cool.
Hold on. Let me check. Well, that was just what was right there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because it's like
no.
cold and there's wind,
yeah,
you know. When there's wind,
you're going fast.
I feel if I'm riding my bike without a helmet, which I never do
You should
until
not.
I don't. I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. But this one time, I was like, why do I feel so free?
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot to put my helmet on.
Yeah.
And it was the wind.
Yeah.
So when I have wind in my hair.
Through your hair.
And you know, the other time I really feel free is when I'm working a piece, so when I'm writing, and I start to hit an edge of, oh, I can't do that. I can't say that. Actually, okay, as I'm saying this, it shows up in multiple places, like even in relationship. So in a we space, and I hit an edge of, I can't, can I go there? Can I, do we get to go there? And then I do. And it's like something.
Cool.
Yeah. So there's something about like rule breaking on behalf of
Pushing
what's
the
real.
edge.
Yeah.
On behalf of what's real. Pushing the edge on behalf of what's real.
Yeah. Like freedom. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on my show.
Thanks for having me on your show. Thanks for being here. Maybe she's supposed to end it, but you can. Go ahead.